Hi everyone, it's Steph here from the Novelty Corner. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to my review of Trust by Chris Hammer. Trust is the third book in the Martin Scarsden series by Chris Hammer, and it is a 2020 release from Allen & Unwin. It was released on the 13th of October. Trust is an Australian crime mystery novel set in Sydney. Even though Trust is the third book in a series, it can be read as a standalone. I have not yet read Scrublands or Silver, which are the two books that precede it, but I am now definitely intrigued to pick them up at some point because this book definitely hooked me on Martin's character. Martin is a journalist and a true crime writer, and at the beginning of Trust we meet him as he's playing with his future stepson Liam on the beach. It's a very quintessential sort of family moment, and you can tell the love that he has for this child. Then he hears a voicemail message left to him by his partner, Liam's mother, Mandalay, which is nothing more than a sudden scream that is cut off, and that kicks off this story as Martin races back to the house to find Mandy gone and an unconscious man lying in the house. He has no idea who has taken her, but once he begins contact with the police and also a former editor of his back in Sydney, Martin decides to start investigating and to find out where Mandy has been taken and who has taken her. As Martin begins to look for Mandy, he begins to uncover things about her past and how this seemingly unconnected kidnapping may have connections to a series of murders that have taken place in Sydney, all centered around the death of a supposed conman who had disappeared years ago. So it's quite a web of intrigue that Chris Hammer has woven around this story. And it really does center on Martin as a journalist and the way that he pursues a story. Not only does he have Mandy's disappearance to look into, but also the death of a very close friend of his, which motivates him in the extreme to find answers. This really felt like a slow burn crime mystery novel. Even though you get thrown into the action straight away, it doesn't feel like it happens at a breakneck pace. We sort of get drip-fed information for the first half of the book. Lots of seemingly unconnected things that happen. And it's only as we begin to get deeper and deeper into the book that the pace picks up and things start happening quite rapidly. It is a book that looks at fraud and corruption in society. It also looks at how the elite in society also have a huge amount of power, and that sometimes when that goes wrong, it has massive ramifications. Martin's investigation takes him to interviewing court judges and people who work in the banking system. And these are all people with enormous power who have a massive amount of control over everyday people's lives. It's only when he begins to piece all of those stories together and the little hints that he gets from them that we truly begin to see the bigger picture. I think it was really fascinating to see how his character changed a little bit over the course of the book. I think from having read a few other reviews by people who have read all three books, that at the beginning of the book, Martin is far more relaxed than he has been in previous books. He's tried to settle into that family life, and that definitely came across in the first few chapters. But what we definitely see throughout this book is how he's had to bring himself out of that newfound family life and return to his journalistic roots and his investigative roots, even if perhaps it's not something that he was planning on doing in as greater depth as he has to in Trust. It was also great to read a story set in Sydney. Typically speaking, when I do read my Australian books, they tend to be set in Melbourne or Queensland for some reason. I don't read too many books that do actually take place in Sydney, so it was really nice. I did live in Sydney for a couple of years, so some of the landscape was quite familiar to me, and it was nice to be able to picture that. As I said at the start of this video, I can definitely appreciate how Chris Hammer has woven this story together. I think it was really wonderfully done. And now I'm definitely intrigued, and I will be going to pick up Scrublands and Silver because I want to know a little bit more about Martin. We do get those little hints at those stories in this book, so you definitely can read it on its own. I enjoyed it just fine, but it would be really nice to go back and see where it all started. So thank you very much to Allen & Unwin for asking me to be part of this blog tour. It was a lot of fun. I will leave lots of information down in the description box if you would like to check out this book or if you would like to find out more about the author Chris Hammer. In the comments below, if you have read Trust or even Scrublands and Silver and you would like to discuss it with me, I would love to talk to you about it in the comments. I hope that wherever you are in the world, you are staying safe and healthy, and I will see you all in my next video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye guys.